Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And today we're going to be talking about the Joker's box office, which is apparently going very, very well. All we know right now is that the projections originally before going into this weekend were between 90 to around 110, 120 million dollars. And it looks like if it continues on the pace that it is, meaning that it could make less or it could make more, it's set to make around $92 million for its opening, including its Thursday night previews. This is a great news for this film, and I will say this much. This film is fantastic. I put my review out on the channel last night. I also had an instant reaction over on Twitter, and all I can say is that this film, to me, is special for a lot of different reasons. For one thing, it deals with a comic character in a way that I've really never seen done on screen before. And I think that, and the thing that I keep on hearing from a lot of people who have been somewhat critical of it, and people who love it, but they're hesitant to give it their full support. Maybe they're at a 9 or 8 out of 10, but they're just not quite at the 10 out of 10, is because for them, this feels like a movie that is not a typical comic book movie. And so they always have to say that, saying, oh, it's not a comic book movie, it's not a comic book movie. Or they'll say, oh, it feels like they were making the movie and then they decided just to, tag in the Joker, and it didn't really feel like the film was made for the Joker. But to them, I would just have to say this. I would have to say, for one, why do we define a comic book movie within one, diameter, or rather within one criteria? Why is it that we allow films like Marvel and films like the Marvel MCU, the MCU, or the DCEU, or Worlds of DC, or whatever you want to call it? Why do we let them specify what makes a comic book movie? That's one of the many reasons why I love the movie Logan. That's one of the many reasons why a lot of people loved that in the Wolverine franchise, was because it was different. It had a comic book feel to it, sure. And again, even me using that expression right now, I'm kind of thinking like saying, no, we kind of need to shake that away from ourselves, because to be honest, if there were more movies with comic book characters that were like this, I would be on board. Because it's not just that it's a dramatic film. It's not just that it's not a typical action film. It's because it's a good film. It's a well-made film. We have Martin Scorsese, who's recently come out and has said something about how, for him, the MCU is more like a theme park, where it's not actual cinema. And a lot of people have been getting on him trying to say, oh, what you trying to say, huh? And I think that it's people trying to twist his words to say something that he didn't actually say. But I think that what he honestly meant by it is true. That when you look to movies coming out of the MCU, especially movies like Endgame, when you break down the story is so filled with flaws and plot holes, and most people look past it because of all of just the giant explosions and the characters and just all these, visceral things, all of these kind of fluff elements to the movies, right? So the big stars, the big names, the big action set pieces, which, again, those are really good. And especially when you talked about visual effects, sometimes the visual effects team should definitely be given credit for producing these amazing things. But it really isn't cinema, right? There isn't anything more to it than just that. It's very... again, it's popcorn-esque, right? It's popcorn films. And there's a place for popcorn films nowadays, but the problem, though, is that almost all films that come out these days, at the very least, and the only ones that make money, are these popcorn-esque films. And the reason why this film, Joker, is so important is because it takes a comic character and gives a real movie, gives it a real, honest-to-God film. This is a movie that, if the Joker had not been a part of the story, no one would have gone to see it. Even with people saying, oh my gosh, his performance is amazing, and oh my gosh, the cinematography and the music, all of these things that we know objectively to be good, many people would never be able to experience it or even talk about it because of the fact that the Joker's name would not have been attached to it. But because Joker's name is attached to it, you do have people going to see it more often than not, and you have people that otherwise would say, oh, I'm a fan of the MCU, or I'm a fan of the DC films so far, but this film is different, and I love it. To me, this film is important because I'm hoping that it allows for the typical comic book film to be a thing of the past, where instead of just getting the same film and the same tropes over and over and over again to the point where it just gets monotonous and boring, we can get films like this that are just honest-to-God good quality films that happen to have a superhero or that happen to have a supervillain. And that's why this box office news has me so damn excited. And as you see up here, according to Deadline, it says Joker beating Venom's record October opening with $92 million. For those that don't know, Venom went on to make, what, $700+ million, $800 million at the box office in total. So if it's already going better than Venom, it is likely going to either match or even possibly exceed the domestic run of that film, which is going to be very impressive. The one thing, the big question mark is Joker going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Venom in the foreign market? Because remember, the foreign market obviously is a lot more drawn to the big action-type films, which Joker is not. And so because of that differential, will it be able to crack into those audiences because of the fact that it is a comic book character that is also now in a actual good dramatic film? It's going to be a really interesting thing to see. I can't wait to see the actual full box office breakdown, to do the box office breakdown on Geeks and Gamers on Sunday, because honestly, I'm interested. I honestly have no idea where this film is going to go, at least with overseas. Based on this, the domestic, the US, Canada totals are probably going to be pretty damn good for this film, and that has me very excited because not only does this film deserve it, because this film individually is so damn good for so many different reasons, but also because I think that this film is historically important because it does lay the groundwork for future films for both heroes and villains to be told in this type of capacity, where you have people saying, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to make a damn good movie. We're just going to make a film with flawless writing. We're going to make a film with great cinematography, with great, scoring. We're not just going to go for the cheap pops, right? To me, as a wrestling fan, I'm a huge wrestling fan. Most people that follow the channel know this about me. Instead of this film going for the cheap pops, right? Saying like, oh, we're here today in Tennessee. Oh, everyone's happy. Great. Getting that cheap fluff, right? Instead, this movie is like Bray Wyatt. This movie is like The Fiend. If anyone has been watching that lately and watching the product lately, you know that The Fiend is this amazing character. And the reason why is because The Fiend is terrifying, and it's not really this popcorn-esque type of understanding of a character. It is a deep dive into a character. It's a dark and gritty character that's very different than the typical WWE wrestling promo. And that's why people are loving it, because it is so different. To me, this is a lot like that, where it's not a cheap pop like a big budget film would be, like the Endgames of the world or even the Shazams of the world, right? Instead, it is a good movie first that happens to deal with a comic book character. And going back to a point I mentioned previously about some people saying it felt like this was a script that had existed prior and they just tagged on the Joker and changed some things to make the Joker the character in the film, I really believe that this was a Joker film from the beginning. And the reason why is because the more you think about the film, the more you break it down in your head, the more you realize just how much thought went into this, to the point where them just adding on and tacking on the Joker as a character and Gotham as the background just would honestly make the movie not work. But yet it does. It works seamlessly, right? It works so well that it seems to me, and again, I could be wrong on this, they could come out and say, oh yeah, we had this script for a long time, and then we decided to add the Joker in, which I don't think is the case. Because honestly, I think that everything just so melds so well together that at the end of the day, it was intended from the very beginning, is the main point of what I'm trying to say there. I'm losing my words because this is just, again, this is such an amazing film. And I know that people are saying, oh, you're overhyping it. I'm going to go now expecting, to be blown away, and I'm not going to be, but I know a lot of people felt the same way when I talked about films like Alita Battle Angel, or when I talked about Shazam, or when I talked about other films that I've just loved this year. And yet many of them came out of it saying, I felt the same exact way that you did. And so I'm hoping that that is the case here. And if you were ever on the fence with this film, I really hope that the words of mine or of other YouTubers or of other people online change you, because I really think that this film is important, not just because it is a solid film with one of the best acting tour de force performances I've seen in a very long time. Dear Lord, if that man does not win every award in the upcoming award season, it would be a crime, in my opinion. But as I said before, that's this to me is going to be a huge test of the award circuit. If you want to know if the award circuit is completely crap, I mean, we all know that it is. But if you want even more verification of that, just watch how he probably will end up getting snubbed because of the violence of the film. Even though, in all honesty, the violence of the film might take up maybe about 10 to 15 minutes of the overall film. And even then, I'm probably giving it too much time. In this over 2-hour film, most of it is character development. Most of it is diving into the madness, into the psychosis of this character, of the Joker. And to me, it is an important film for that and for so many different reasons. So, as it says here, after beating Venom's October preview, Thursday preview of 10 million with a 13.3 million haul last night, Joker is on his way to busting a new 3-day high for the month of 92 million after a $39 million opening, including the previews. If those numbers remain, that's the 4th highest opening for a rated R pick all time. And that's after Deadpool's 132 million, Deadpool 2's 125 million, and it at 123.4 million. Now, could this film get close to it? Could it get close to the Deadpool's? Possibly, right? But it all depends on whether you go and see the film. What I think is most impressive about these numbers is that the media went so hard against this film. The media went full blast against this film to the point where they were saying, don't see this movie. Don't bring your kids to see this movie. This film is dangerous. Danger, danger, danger. We're going to bring cops to the theaters. We're going to go ahead and try to curtail anything that might happen because we're going to go ahead and bring up something that happened years ago that actually had no connection to Batman or to the Joker's character, except for the fact that it happened at the premiere of a Batman movie. The whole concept of, oh, he was being the Joker, that was a myth that was created that has since been debunked. Go ahead and look it up for yourself because that is actually not true. But it's amazing to me that because that fear was created by the media at the time, that same media will go ahead and pick that up where they left off and try and continue to push this fear-mongering. And it's the same type of fear-mongering that's affecting the reviews of a lot of these people, where they're changing their reviews. They are going after this film and attacking it and saying it's dangerous, even though most of them will agree that the acting, see, here's why critics suck. Because if you ask them, how is the acting? They would say A+. How is the cinematography? A+. How is the editing? A+. Direction? A+. How is the writing? Other than the parts that you don't like, would you say that the writing is consistent, etc.? Oh, yeah, absolutely. And yet many of them are giving it a C or a D or a negative score. And that, to me, is complete proof positive that they are completely subjective asshats. They have lost the objective quality that used to be very prominent among film critics. Obviously, we're going to have subjective views that come into our views every now and then. That's, of course, true. Again, subjectively, I love this film, but also objectively, I think it's great. Example of an opposite of that is Argo, right? Argo is objectively a great film. Subjectively, I was not a big fan of it, but I was able to give it a good score because, again, I was, at that time, was more focused on trying to make my scores as objective as possible. That's why nowadays, I break my scores up. Again, on the website that I'm working on, I do a subjective point of view and an objective point of view because I think it's important to differentiate, right? What's amazing to me, though, is that there are people out there that call themselves film critics that studied film and spent years covering the film industry, and yet they will go out of their way to bring their own damn identity politics into every single thing they write, and now it's affecting how they score movies. Which means, how can I trust you? How can I look at your score and say, oh, I can trust this person, when you will give a positive score to a film that is objectively not that strong, and then tear down a film like Joker that is objectively strong, but you don't like it, but you think it's dangerous, and you want to try and control society. It really is sad. It really is pretty awful overall. So anyway, that's the news going on right now. So again, $92 million is the current projection for how much the film will make domestically here in the United States and in North America for the weekend. And all I can say is that if you want that number to be higher, if you are on the fence, go see this movie. If you have family members or friends that are nearby that are on the fence, bring them with you. Seriously, bring them with you. They will not be disappointed. I honestly don't think that. And if they are, again, I'm sorry. It's not for everyone, right? No film is made for every single person. No film is going to appeal to every single person. But I can tell you this much. I think that even someone that's not going to be a fan of this film will not be able to deny the electric performance of Joaquin Phoenix, the amazing cinematography, the spot-on direction, the spot-on writing, and all the other objective elements to the film itself. And in all honesty, I think that most people who walk out of this film will come out of it saying, hey, you know what? That was a damn good time. And to those that didn't like it, hey, again, I respect your opinion. But I think all of us can step back and say, objectively, this film is something special. This is something that changes the game for superhero genre in general, for the supervillain genre in general. And I really hope that because this film is not just a villain story, this film is not just a dark drama, but is instead changing the dynamic of what can be a superhero comic book film. I hope that it leads to more films like it in the future. Not dark dramas, but different takes. Not the same old washed up garbage that we continue to get, that the next Avengers film will likely have, that the next Captain Marvel will have, that the next Black Panther will have, that the next, oh gosh, if they reboot Iron Man, seriously, any franchise you can think of, that's what's going to happen. Not Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, right? All of those things, I think, are on the table here. But anyway, let me hear your thoughts about this. Have you seen Joker yet? If you have not, what are you waiting for? Go see it. It's great. It's an important film for so many different reasons. And also, at $92 million, hey, that's great. But I would love to see this film whoop every film's ass, because if you want to say screw you to the media, if you want to say you're wrong to the media, if you want to shove it in their face, the best way you can do that is make this one of the highest grossing films of all time. Now, it's not going to get up there with the end games of the world, right? But we can get this film, I honestly think, close to the $1 billion mark. And if we can get this film as a rated R film to make $1 billion, that will shut some people up. And if it won't shut them up, it at the very least will make them look extremely stupid. So let me know your thoughts about this and all the things we talked about in the comment section below. But also I want to give a huge shout out to my boy Bruce, because he sent me a doll to River and Willow the other day. And unfortunately, it had some stuff in it when they were not able to eat it. But now I have this this Pet Supplies turkey. And it's very, very exciting. I think it's got a squeak to it as well. Oh, that's fun. Oh, River likes that. Yeah. Oh, yes. Hi. So, Bruce, thank you very much. They're very, very excited already. Can't wait to let them play with that in a second. But let me know your thoughts about this and all the things we talked about in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash the like button. Give us a subscribe. It helps us out a lot. You're all amazing, beautiful people. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless.